Namaskar everyone, Jai Hind and welcome back to Gyanonymous School in lecture 3 part 3 of UGC NET Criminology live lecture series. Today we will learn about psychological, social strain and social ecological theories of crime. We will also we will actually go through the psychoanalytical theories of crime. We will go through various psychopathic personality as on the syllabus. We will go with anomia theories of crime, also culture conflict theory, subculture theory. We will discuss about concentric zone theory, environmental criminology, social disorganization theory, and later on we will discuss also about low class culture theory. So before I begin, I would like to request our viewers, please switch to 1.5x for your better experience. So in the previous two parts of unit 3, we studied how criminology actually evolved from supranational belief from demonological school to scientific explanation. We explored various schools like demonological school, classical school, neoclassical school, also about positivist school or biological school. We defined what is cartographic school, constitutional school, also economic theories of crime and multiple factors theories of crime. Today we will take another major step. Instead of actually asking where does crime occur or can biology explain crime, such questions we have dealt in previous part, that is part 2 of this lecture. Today we will ask questions like what happens inside the human mind before a crime is committed, what happens to the mind of an individual before crime is committed. We will answer questions like how childhood experiences shape criminal behavior. Also delve into various premises with questions like does society itself create conditions that encourage crime, and why do some neighborhoods experience higher crime rates than others. We also actually discussed about that in cartographic school from a very statistical point of view. So now with multiple factors with regard to other factors, we will discuss the same questions. So these questions actually led criminologists to develop psychological and sociological theories of crime that continue to influence research, policing and criminal justice system of today. So before wasting any time, please let's go forward with our first theory, that is psychoanalytical theory. So psychoanalytical theory of criminology actually was developed by Austrian neurologist. He was Sigmund Freud, a very famous name in neurology and even in psychology, that is Sigmund Freud. Freud actually believed that much of human behavior is influenced by unconscious mental processes. So for him, criminal behavior cannot always be explained by factors like poverty or biology or even with opportunity. So he thought that sometimes the root causes of crime lie deep within the human personality. Sigmund Freud, he thought that these external factors like from poverty to social factors, also the biological internal factors, above all there are some other factors which actually influence the criminal behavior, that is human personality. So Sigmund Freud's personality, he has forwarded three ideas, that is id, ego and superego. What is id? Id is actually present with everyone from birth. It actually it seeks immediate satisfaction in a person, immediate satisfaction of desires. It actually follows the principle of pleasure. It asks simply one question: what do I want right now? I need this right now. That's it. So it is just simple question: what do I want right now? It actually doesn't consider morality or consequence. It doesn't go with that. It just want that I want this right now. That's all. So this is what id. Next, what is ego? So ego is let me tell you, it is from the very childhood. Okay, and ego is not from the very childhood. It develops, it grows as a person grows. It follows the reality principle. The ego actually balances the instinct with practical reality. It asks questions like, what is the safest and most realistic way to satisfy my need? So when we develop ego, as it combines with id, ego actually asks questions like to search for safest way, how I will get the safest way, or even the more rationalist or realist way to achieve my goals or achieve my needs. That is what is ego. Next come third parameter according to Sigmund Freud, that is superego. And what is superego? Superego actually it represents conscience and various moral value. It develops through good parenting, through education, through religion even, and society, as well as with various moral values. So superego actually asks questions like what is right or what is wrong. So superego actually differentiates between what is right or wrong. So this is a very important factor which need to be present in human being in good amount. Actually, a healthy superego actually discourages antisocial behavior. So as we learned that id is from the beginning, from the very early stages, and ego which develops as we grows, and superego is the ability to judge what is right or wrong. So all three are important, and mostly superego is very important to judge what is right and what is wrong. So according to Sigmund Freud, what is crime? He argued that Sigmund Freud actually argued that the crime occurs when only id dominates, and when ego is weak and superego fails. So Sigmund Freud simply says that when id dominates, that means I need this. Simply I need something, where id dominates, and ego. What is ego? Ego is to try to get the safest way to achieve whatever we need. But here ego becomes weak. That means the possibility to find the safest way to achieve that goal or that thing, whatever we want, it becomes very weak. So ego becomes weak, and superego fails. Superego means the ability to judge what is right or wrong. So when superego fails and ego becomes weak, and where the id dominates, id is very primitive, that is we need something, that is id. And when id dominates and ego comes very weak and superego actually fails, then crime occurs. A person actually who cannot control his impulses, he may become more vulnerable to offending, and what that impulses come from id, according to Sigmund Freud. So this is how Sigmund Freud explained from psychological point of view or from personality point of view. He tried to explain criminal behavior. So these 3 points or these 3 factors like id, ego, and superego is very important even from exam perspective. So even though he explained many things to some extent, there are various criticism, like this theory of id, ego, and superego is very difficult to test scientifically. It actually overemphasizes childhood. The ego which develops from the childhood, it actually very overemphasized or more stress on childhood on his theory of id, ego, and superego. There are also limited empirical evidence, or it is very difficult to gather empirical evidence with regard to id, ego, and superego. And this theory also ignores other factors like other social, economic, and other external factors. So id actually Sigmund Freud's theory of id, ego, and superego actually doesn't consider various other external factors. It just goes with the internal id, ego, and superego, or other personality traits. So these are the criticisms of Sigmund Freud's theory. So this is what we learned about psychoanalytical theory of Sigmund Freud. Let's Next, let's move to another theory, that is psychopathic personality theory of crime. What is psychopathic personality theory of crime? Actually, what is psychopath? What do you mean by psychopath? It's not just in criminology, in sociology, and also in psychology. We often use the term psychopath. What is psychopath? From criminological point of view, the psychopathy, it actually refers to a personality pattern characterized by several deficits, like deficits in empathy, deficit in guilt feeling, or deficit in emotional attachment. A psychopath person is someone who is not feeling guilt, who has lack in emotional attachment, or even he has or she has deficit in empathy. So this is what psychopath is. Common characteristics of psychopath or psychopathic personality, they may include like lack of remorse. The person with psychopathy is often shows by characteristics of lack of remorse. He or she is often more manipulative. There is some kind of superficial charm. The charming that we see in him or her is actually superficial. It is not real. They are actually very much impulsive, or impulsivity is reflected in psychopath people, and they are actually persistently rule breaking. Psychopath people they are often rule breaking, not just a single time, over and over again. They try to break the rule, and they are with emotional shallowness. That is, they are hollow from emotional. They may show or manipulate, or they may show some superficial emotions, but in reality they are actually with emotional shallowness. So it is actually important to remember that not every offender who is a psychopath, it is actually important to remember that whoever is any offender or any criminal, but he has to be psychopath. No, it is not so. Some normal persons and very uh, mentally and psychologically well-grounded person is also sometimes becomes criminal due to various reasons. So it is not that every psychopath, every offender becomes criminal, and it is so that the contrary is also true. That is, not every psychopath also becomes criminal. That is, not every offender is a psychopath, or not every psychopathic traits leads to criminal behavior. So the psychopathy is actually one of the possible risk factor towards criminal behavior among the many other factors. So this is what psychopathic personality theory of criminology. Now coming to another theory, it's a very important theory. I have made a video on it, on the social strain theories. So very important from exam perspective and criminology. So Emile Durkheim has gone with with the anomie theory. Let's go with, before social strain theory, let's done with anomie. Anomie was introduced by Emily Durkheim. It means conditions of normlessness. What is anomie? Anomie means the condition of normlessness, when there is no norms in the society. So rapid social sense actually can weaken various social shared values or social norms, and it can also leave individuals uncertain about various acceptable behaviors. So these kind of breakdowns in social norms or social regulations may contribute to various deviant behavior. Therefore, anomie is simply the normlessness in a society. So as we go on from Emily Durkheim's anomie theory, which is the basis of strain theory, let's go to the actual strain theory, or Robert Martin's strain theory. Martin actually he expanded the anomie theory of Emily Durkheim. He argued that society actually encourages everyone to pursue success. Society encourages everyone to pursue wealth, even education, or society wants people to have with status, but it doesn't provide equal access or legitimate means to achieve such status or education or wealth. So when society actually approved, when actually social approved goals cannot be achieved through various lawful means, some individuals experience various strain, and this strain may lead to crime. So Robert Martin, he described 5 adaptations. These 5 adaptations of Robert Martin is very important in criminology, and from exam point of view, that is CI tripular. You should remember this as CI tripular. That is conformity, innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion. So we have discussed about them from conformity to innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion in details in that concept lecture. Please go and check on the concept lecture series of criminology. We have discussed about this strain theory and general strain theory also. In strain theory, there is another word, that is innovation. Okay, so innovation in strain theory or criminology is another word. It's very important, because what is innovation? Innovation is like to invent new ways to achieve social goals, not the prevailing or legal ways. Innovation in criminology is something different than the normal innovation in startup or technology. Okay, in criminology, innovation means the other way, where what people thinks to achieve or people follows to achieve the goals, not the normal way. They go with some innovative ways. So these innovative ways may be sometimes illegitimate, or maybe sometimes we can term them as deviant ways. So innovation is another term in criminology than in entrepreneurship or in business studies. So this is what in simply Martin's strain theory. And if you want to know about more Martin's strain theory and also general strain theory or GST, please visit that lecture of mine. Coming to another theory of criminology, that is cultural conflict theory. This theory of cultural conflict is associated with Trosten Selin. So we should remember his name. Cultural conflict theory is associated with Trosten Selin. Selin actually argued that crime may arise when individuals are caught between various conflicting cultural norms. Let's for example, there can be norms like rural versus urban values. When a society is transitioning from rural to urban, we see a kind of hybrid structure, particularly in Indian semi-urban societies. So when a rural area is transitioning into an urban area, so there are various values which come conflicting between rural values and urban values. There can be difference in values between traditional customs and even modern legal rules. There can be difference between minority cultural practices also with the dominant social expectations or dominant cultural practices. So when these cultural norms actually clash, individuals may knowingly or unknowingly violate laws, or may experience such competing expectations. So this leads to various cultural conflict, and which may lead to deviance in law, or which may lead to ultimately crime or criminal behavior. So this is the simple concept of cultural conflict. Okay, so moving ahead with another theory, that is subcultural theory. So what is subculture? Subculture is a kind of group. Not every group in society actually shares same values. Some groups in our society, there are various groups, either from ethnicity, from religions, or even some within the same ethnicity. Some people just live in some groups. Okay, so some groups actually develop their own norms and expectations, and these groups are actually called subcultures. Culture within the culture, they are called subcultures. So criminologists like Albert Cohen or Richard Cloward or Lloyd O'Hlin, they explained how certain youth groups may develop various subcultural values that reward behaviors rejected by mainstream society. Simply some youths may get influenced by some subcultures, or they may build a subculture which may actually value deviant behaviors. So examples can be like various gangs which can value violence or theft or status through illegal activities. There can be various gangs which become a subculture itself, who have various role models who are actually mafias, who are actually gangsters. So being associated with such gangs, one actually values violence, theft or status through such illegal activities. So this is what subculture is. Subculture theory actually helps explain why criminal behavior can become more normal when you are a member of that particular subculture or that particular group. So this is subculture. Subculture is actually kind of gang in the society, or kind of a group in the society, where they actually develop a different kind of culture, where the what we see as social, which are not social values like violence, theft or status through illegal activities, they are given more priority than legitimate means. So this is what subculture theory. So remember that cultural theory is about conflict between two or more cultures, maybe conflict between two or more traditions, or between rural and urban values. But in subculture it is different. Subculture is a culture within culture. It can be within the same ethnicity, within the same society. There may be a lot more such subcultures. It's maybe led by one person also. Okay, so subcultures are very minority groups or minority units who develop a different culture than the prevailing social norms. So this is what subculture theory. Next theory is our social ecology theories. We have so what is social ecology theory and who developed it? It was actually primarily developed by Ernest Burgess. He developed subcultural theory from Chicago School. We have to remember there is one school, that is Chicago School of Criminology, and Ernest Burgess was a member of that school. He developed it from Chicago School of Criminology. It actually like social ecology theory describes societies as various concentric rings, or there are various zones of transitions, often near the city center, which goes beyond from city center to the transitioning areas. There are like with high population turnover, with some circles can be with poverty, some would be poor housing, or some would be weak community ties. So crime rates tend to be higher in various zones because of unstable social conditions, rather than because of characteristics of individual residents. So this zone of transition, or this social concentric theory by Ernest Burgess is very much important. I will try to make a detailed video on this social this concentric zone theory and zone of transitions. If you want that, please type in the comment box. I will be making a such video from zone of transitions, because you need to know about it from the criminological point of view. If you are really interested and know more about it, I will make a video for you about zone of transition and how different zones behave differently, and the criminal behaviors are more in certain zones, particularly in transitioning zones, in zones which are the downtown area. There are one is downtown area or city center area, and the area immediately after the city center or downtown area, which are actually transitioning towards the downtown area. This area actually experience more crime. This is very point of view. So this zone, second zone from the middle, is actually more prone to criminal behaviors. So this is zone of transition or transitioning zone. So this is what concentric zone theory is. Coming another theory, again there's a lot more theories in criminology. You will be very much overwhelmed by various theories. Actually, by the end of this lecture, after we finish the whole series, I will try to make a search, a particular video with various search of theories. We'll discuss. They are all theories from bird eye point of view, and so that you would be able to remember them very well. So what is another theory? That is social disorganization theory, or SDT, I say it. It was associated with Shaw and McKay. One is Clive Shaw and another is Henry McKay. So simply it is associated with Shaw and McKay, the social disorganization theory. They both argued that crime flourishes where communities experience factors like poverty, if there are residential mobility, or maybe family disruption, or weak and informal control, maybe limited cohesion in the society. So if there are actually, as the name goes, if there are actually disorganizing behavior in the society or transitioning behavior in the society, there are disruption and mobility in the society, or weak social control, then social disorganization happens, and which actually leads to deviant behavior in the society. So the research of Shaw and McKay, it suggested that neighborhood conditions actually play a major role in shaping crime patterns. So Shaw and McKay said that crime pattern is very much dependent on neighborhood influence. So this is what, in a nutshell, social disorganization theory. Okay, next in our menu is environmental criminology. So what is environmental criminology? As the name goes, it should focus on how physical environment actually influence criminal opportunities. For example, like movement of people or routine movement of people, maybe some criminal hotspot or crime hotspots, and even design of public spaces, and how guardianship or maybe opportunity structures, how these all affect crime behavior, or how these affect crime behavior and criminal behavior, also number of crime. This is all about environmental criminology, and actually we have learned about that in CPT theory, or crime prevention through environmental design theory. And you should remember who propounded crime prevention through environmental design, or CPT. It was propounded by C. Ray Jeffrey. You remember, it's very important from exam point of view, the CPT. And we have discussed about it in details in Unit 2. Please revisit Unit 2 if you want to know about CPT. So this is what environmental criminology. You can go with crime prevention through environmental design in Unit 2. We have discussed about that. So in our next menu, it is lower class conflict, or lower class culture theory. What is lower class culture theory? This perspective actually it associated with a theorist Walter Miller. Miller actually argued that some lower class communities develop distinct cultural values, or maybe focal concerns, such as various toughness. There are some kind of excitement, autonomy, and status. There is nothing called lower class or higher class in a society, but at the time of propounding such theory, maybe the philosophy valued such terms, but in modern times, the modern philosophy or modern criminology actually doesn't value any class which is lower or higher. However, Miller actually argued that some lower class communities who may develop various distinct cultural values, or maybe some special concerns or excitements, maybe some kind of even autonomy, which may actually lead to various criminal behavior. So these values actually do not automatically produce crime, but such certain context may increase the likelihood of some behaviors that may create some conflict, which may lead to crime, or which may lead to violation of law, that is crime. So this is what lower class culture theory by Walter Miller. In exam there may be some questions like who propounded the lower class culture theory. The lower class culture theory was propounded by Walter Miller. So today we have gone with many theories. If we go with the summary, we can see that we have gone at the beginning the psychoanalytical theory. It goes with unconscious mind and personality traits. Then we have gone with psychopathic theories, which deals with personality traits and empathy deficits. Then come anomia theory by Emily Durkheim. It deals with breakdown of social norms or normlessness. Next comes social strain theory, just simple strain theory, which deals with blocked opportunities. Strain theory was propounded by, just remember, Robert Martin. Next comes cultural conflict that we discussed. It deals with conflict of cultural norms. Next, subculture theory, where there are some certain groups and certain subgroups who within the society there can be various groups who can value certain influence or certain philosophy, or they may have certain role models who value violence, who value illegitimate way of earning. Okay, there are other theories we discussed like concentric zone theory, which deals with transitioning pattern of urban ecological influence or urban patterns. Next is social disorganization theory, where community structures and neighborhood dominates. The community structure or neighborhood actually dominates the possibility of crime. Next, environmental criminology, dissipated. And finally, about lower class theory, where distinct cultural and focal concerns may impact crime. So for UGC NET revision, or for UGC NET preparation, you can just see that Sigmund Freud, who is associated with what? Id, ego, and superego. Then Emily Durkheim, he is associated with anomia theory. Then Robert Martin, he is with strain theory, and his mode was 5 modes. You remember the abbreviation CI-RRR. Just go through CI-RRR. Next, Trostenselin, he is with cultural conflict. Cohen, he is with delinquent subculture. And Cloward and Ohnin, they are with differential opportunity and subcultures theory. Then another Burgess, he is with concentric zone theory. And most importantly, Shaw and McKee, who come with SDT, that is social disorganization theory. You remember them, okay? They become sometimes very confusing to remember actually all the proponents of theories of crime. Lastly, we have studied about Walter Miller, who propounded lower class culture theory. So these are very important. If you want, I can share my notes with you. If you really want them, please let me know. I can email you, or even open a WhatsApp or Telegram group for you. So in conclusion, in today's lecture, we have seen that crime cannot be understood solely by a single subject. It cannot be understood by only law or by only biology or economics. Various psychological process actually shape individual behavior, and various social structures create various opportunities and even pressures. Various communities, neighborhoods, and influence from various cultures, and like how people think, behave, and respond to social expectation. These all impact criminal behavior in a person, or any behavior of a person which may lead to deviant act. So we learned how together these theories demonstrate why modern criminology adopts an interdisciplinary perspective rather than relying on a single explanation of crime. So as we have learned a lot more theories, we have to remember that not a single theory actually explain criminal behavior in the society. All these theories combined from biology to psychological to economic theories of crime, and all the theories, they all combine, make criminology a interdisciplinary science, and this only explains the criminal behavior in a society. So that's our lecture for today. In our next lecture, we will finish unit 3 by exploring other theories like social learning theories, including Gabriel Traits theory of imitation, also differential association theory, the famous theory of Edwin Sutherland, and then differential identification theory also of Glaser, that is DIT, and another theory of Cloward and Onin, that is differential opportunity theory. We actually finished that, but in the next lecture we will try to go with that too a bit. So before finishing today's lecture, I would like to ask you one question. As we have learned about strain theory today, strain theory was propounded by who? By Robert Merton. Robert K. Martin, he propounded strain theory. Now answer me one question. Who propounded general strain theory, that is GST? Please answer me in the comment box who propounded general strain theory or GST. So that's all. If you find today's lecture valuable, please like this video and subscribe to Gyanonymous School, and share it with your fellow UGC NET aspirants and anyone who wants to be a criminologist. So thank you. And a disclaimer is that I don't actually edit the videos. I go on more with the content of the video than editing stuff. So please do watch this video on 1.5x for your better experience. So thank you for joining today's live sessions, and I will see you in the next lecture. Jai Hind and Bande Mataram.